My name is Katie. I do trail riding, and my favorite thing about horses is that they all have different personalities. So what works with one horse isn't going to work with another horse necessarily. And so figuring out what you can do to get through to each individual horse and how you can kind of relate to them and work with them, that's been a lot of fun. I have a Mustang named Sally. She's 11. My favorite thing, I like very many things about her, but probably my favorite one is just her personality and how laid back she is, because she's game to do anything, and I know that whatever I try to do with her, she's gonna give it her best shot and she'll put up with it. And so we've had a lot of adventures that I wouldn't be able to have if I had a really high-strung, flighty horse. I met Sally in 2012 when I was 18 or 19, and she was 5, and I'd been riding since I was 9 years old, and I'd never met a horse like her or felt as strongly about that horse. I just knew that our personalities went together really well, and I definitely learned a lot from her, and so I'm really excited to see where we're going moving forward. My main thing that I would start with looking for is just having a good personality and good sense, because I feel like that's one of the harder things to teach a horse. If they have just a good foundation and are curious about things is something I really look for, because then I feel like it's easy to get them interested in what you're trying to do and work with. I started riding when I was 9, and I was taking hunter jumper lessons. So I did that for about 6 years, and then there were 6 years where I didn't really ride. It was just hard for my mom to get us to the barn, and it was far away and things. But then in college I picked it back up again, riding Western, and so I've done that, and I've also done some carriage riding. My favorite memory kind of in general is just an experience when Sally and I went out and we worked on a Gus ranch for the summer, and that was really fun, just getting to take her out. And I figured that she would be good at it, but getting to see her actually be good at it and how far we had come, and having all these adventures in the mountains together that neither one of us had really gotten to do with each other before was a lot of fun, and I'm really glad I got the chance to do that. Just the whole process of how far Sally and I have come from 2012 to now in 2018, comparing like videos and pictures of what we were doing then, and both of us, there was a lot of gaps in our knowledge and we didn't know very much, and now to where we are and what we've been able to do in that time. There are a lot of places that I like to go. Like I loved riding out in Montana, and we were only in one little small area of Montana, and so there's a ton more out there I would love to do. I'd love to ride on the beach. I've never taken Sally to the desert, but I loved when we went to a ranch in the desert, and that was awesome. So I guess I don't have one place, all the places. As far as Sally and I together, I'd really like to take her to one of those extreme trail courses where you're racing around the trail course as fast as you can and have all these obstacles and things. But really, I feel like any equestrian event to go and watch, you can learn something from, and you can see all these riders or drivers, whatever they're doing, at the top of their game, which is really cool. So I think any of it I would be willing to go to and interested in. History museums where they have working farms, because you can see how the horses are pulling the farm equipment and how they were used back in the old days, and I think that's really cool to see, and something that it's not like a big show or a big racetrack or something like that, something that people wouldn't really think of, but that's been really neat, getting to see that in person and not just reading about it in books. But the first thing you got to do is find companies that are going the same way that you are, because like the 2 companies that I used, they just did east to west, but some companies also just do north to south. And then sometimes if you need it to go different directions, they'll have a hub in different areas, and so your horse will go on one truck and then stay at the hub and then load onto a different truck. So just figure out what you're looking for and what company best matches what you need, and then start reading the reviews, because you want to be able to trust them with your horse and know that your horse is going to get there safely. And also if you've got any friends that have shipped their horse, or if you know somebody, like I knew somebody that had their own transport company out east, and so I asked them for recommendations. Any horse professionals might have recommendations, so just try to read up as fast as you can. It really depends on what your horse's level is and how it best learns, but what I did with Sally is I started out, I just let her in hand on the roads, and we didn't have anybody to go with at that time, and so I figured that she would do better just being able to see me in front of her, and if there was anything scary or anything like that, I would be able to go past there first. But if you have somebody that has a good, say for a road safe horse, if you can go out with them, then I think that's really helpful, and just build your way up. Get your horse used to more and more things, and the more you can get it used to at home in an environment where it's comfortable, then the better you're going to do when you're away from home in a strange environment. I think a really good trend I'm kind of seeing is a new appreciation for going across disciplines, because like I've known people that were Western riders and they're like, oh, how do you balance in an English saddle? That seems so hard. And I'm like, you balance on your Western horse, fine. Or like I've known hunter jumper riders that are like, you cannot touch my horse with any kind of thing that isn't like hunter jumper approved. But there's also a lot of people who are taking things from different disciplines and figuring out what works in those disciplines and how they can apply that to their own riding, whether they are going to actually ride in that discipline or not. And I think that's been really cool and something that we could encourage, because I think that every discipline has something to teach, and it shouldn't just be about like hunter jumpers do this and dressage people do this and reiners do this and barrel racers do this, and kind of just knowing that everybody is kind of working towards the same goal of working with their horse. Just have fun with your horse, and it's great if you are competing and you're really working hard and everything, but also don't forget that you and your horse have to be partners, and so just take those days and have fun. And like I love taking Sally on walks, and I feel like we learn a lot of stuff even if we don't go, if our plan for that day isn't to go out and learn something, like we end up learning something anyway. And so just don't be afraid to just mess around with your horse and have fun and try new things, and don't get so caught up in like competing and trying to do the best that you forget what your real purpose with your horse is to grow together.